Previously in X-Men. I'm Jason Lapidus. This is Chris Sanagan. We are here as Group of Seven Comics today to talk about X-Men Comics issue 100. What?
The Century
X-Men
Club.
Volume 1, 100. This is episode 8 in our series. Previously in X-Men, where we examine, I hate doing that, where we take a closer look at the essential run of X-Men comics that made the series a classic that then spawned a generational cartoon in the 1990s and a blockbuster movie franchise that kind of helped kick off the MCU in the 21st century. And of course, moving forward, we will see the X-Men in the next few years in the MCU, which is really, really exciting to see some of these amazing characters and stories translated into film. Chris, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing well. I'm doing very well. Excited that we hit the 100th issue.
Oh, yeah.
It's a bit of a, it's not like we've read 100 issues, but we are at number 100, and it's exciting nonetheless. It's exciting.
Yes, it is exciting. So, like I said before, it's issue 8 in our series. We started this series, for those who are watching this episode as an introduction, we started the series at Giant Size X-Men number 1, which is then succeeded by X-Men 94. Little history. Basically, the X-Men series in the 1960s stopped being a successful business venture for Marvel Comics, but successful enough that they could still sell copies. So they just decided to reprint older content in newer numbering, and eventually they made it a bi-monthly comic, so it wasn't even coming out every month. And it was, like I said, reprints, and then they had a vision in the mid-70s to rebrand, to reboot, and they start the series again with an international team, which goes on to be the template for every single X-Men team moving forward. And when they stray from it, they always come back to it eventually. So we're talking about Cyclops in the middle, right, in the lead role, Colossus, Wolverine, Storm, Nightcrawler, and you get various other members. At this point, Banshee is still a member of the team. We, of course, had Thunderbird at the very beginning and Sunfire on, off, early on in the first couple issues of the new run. But every team kind of comes back to this template. We see this in the 80s. We see this, of course, this team essentially, in the cartoon with the dynamic of just, Wolverine and Cyclops and Storm as being these core 3 members. And unfortunately, I didn't get my wish and had, Colossus wasn't a member and Nightcrawler wasn't a member, although they made appearances. You said this last time I mentioned this too.
Well, no, it's funny because I completely. You mentioned Nightcrawler not being in the 90s show.
He's on the show. He just isn't a member of the team. He has a couple guest spots.
But he's not. You're right. And I mean, the 90s show for me was very. I was right in the sweet spot at that age watching it. And it's hilarious. I just now, I'm like, oh yeah, Colossus wasn't there.
Yeah, he does. He
didn't even.
Comes early on in the series. There's an episode where he is the X-Mansion is flattened, and so the X-Men go looking to see who was powerful enough to knock over the entire thing.
Oh yes.
And they come across Colossus at a construction site who does demolition.
Yes.
So they're like, 1 + 1 = 2.
Sure.
Of course, it wasn't him. It's Juggernaut who is robbing the bank.
But I believe he fights Juggernaut in that episode.
He does, and he's so happy to meet the X-Men and all that. But I think he'd rather just kind of wander the American countryside, knocking over building for demolition after building for demolition.
It's going to be really interesting when we get to whatever point that we get to in this comic series, when we get to compare against like the team-based dynamics against the 90s cartoon. Because now all I'm thinking is a 90s cartoon, like who's on that team, right? I'm thinking Gambit, Rogue, and Morph for the first couple episodes, and Morph kind of does his thing.
Yep.
Right. And then now I'm trying to map it against who I'm starting to love on this team, which is, again, as someone self-confessed, non-X-Men fanatic, I'm really, these characters started to grow. And so when I match up these stories in the small sample set that I have against what I remember from the 90s cartoon,
right.
Even though one is influenced by the other, wildly different because the iteration isn't done yet, right? It's part of that process of like throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks, and what they've got right now is not the product
that becomes the thing that informs all the other versions. This is like on the way to becoming the thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you still need to add in the young woman, the young female sidekick character.
Right.
They don't have that here yet. We see that, of course, in the movies with Anna Paquin as Rogue.
Mm-hmm.
We see that in the cartoon with Jubilee.
Jubilee, yeah.
We will originally see that with Kitty Pryde.
That's
in
right.
the comic. She'll be in, I don't know, depending how many episodes we do, a few, 20 weeks more. She shows up.
She's going to phase in. Get it? See what I did there?
Yeah, I enjoy that.
I'm really proud of myself.
Good. Yeah, we'll see her in a number of weeks. And actually, she's right here.
There she is.
Look at that. Anyway, cool Marvel Legends. Beautiful
cool.
figure. I'm really, really happy with this one. This was like the version of her that I was reading, although she goes through a few names and a few costumes in the really early days. When we first meet her, she just goes by her, her given name of Catherine Pryde or Kitty Pryde. Mm-hmm. Then she takes on the nickname of Ariel for a bit, and the nickname of Sprite for a bit. As again, they're trying to figure out.
Sprite from Shakespeare?
Yes.
Right. I believe it's, I want to say Tempest.
Yes. And
game over. Shut this thing down now.
And she appears in the cartoon on Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, which you have Disney Plus. You should check out. So those are my first times ever seeing the X-Men as a thing. Was on Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. There are 2 episodes that they're in. One is like the origin of Firestar, which is early on in the first season. I think it might only be 1 season. And there's another episode where they like go see the X-Men again, and Thunderbird's on the team, strangely. And so is Kitty Pryde at the same time. Okay. And Colossus, Cyclops, and I can't remember if Nightcrawler. I think he's there as well. Anyway, it's always neat to see these like other versions of the same characters to see what works and what doesn't.
And here's something fun to think about and ponder.
Oh, please.
Is with the announcement of X-Men 97 on its way.
Yeah.
A series that will pick up storyline from the X-Men series in the 90s. I don't remember how it ended. But certainly, is this an opportunity now for the team to be revamped and we see characters like Colossus and Nightcrawler return to that kind of X fold as a more, now I can't even say if they're part of the current team. I have no idea.
They're not on the team at the end of the series.
Right.
But there would, if they want to make a show that makes me specifically happy,
sure.
Yeah, Nightcrawler and Colossus are mainstays. Yeah. I can't wait. As long as they just tidy up the pacing and the animation, I'll be as happy as can be.
They will. They will.
It'll be a good product. They have the money behind it now, right?
There's no reason why it wouldn't be a good product.
Yeah. There's the spirit of it is in the right place. They're doing it, anyway. We're going to get something good with X-Men 97. I'm confident. As long as, again, what we expect is realistic. We're not going to get Into the Spider-Verse level originality and Into the Spider-Verse level like storytelling and character.
Yeah, I wouldn't beg on that for a weekly episodic.
No, we're going to get a vast improvement of that program of X-Men animated series. Somewhere between that and Clone Wars.
Well, I was going to say too. I don't know who. Do you know who the creative team is? Yeah, are they?
No, I confess that I've come across names that people have said like, oh, this person's a producer on whatever, but I don't know who the showrunner is and their resume, but I'm sure we could look it up.
Well, because I would just suggest that given how we experienced the What If animated series,
right?
And I think you and I both have very positive things to say about that series.
Yeah.
Is that a good indication of the kind of quality they could probably put out for a newer animated series to try to connect dots to, they really are they have created a universe. They're building on that. Right. So,
I think it'll look very different than that. I think it'll be almost like somewhere closer still to the old show in terms of the flat 2D animation style.
Right.
I'm not sure. So in my really quick search, I don't want to go on any speculator sites. I would rather go research on IMDb or something like that. But
sure.
I didn't find anything yet. So I really don't know what we're going to get. But again, with Disney being involved and Disney Plus being the service
Well,
by
that's
which
right.
we get it, I think it will be very entertaining for us. And my daughter will eat it up. We're gonna have a really good time watching it. Yeah, Bo DeMayo.
Nope.
I don't know anybody.
Dave Filoni.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine if he had his finger on the pulse of both franchises in terms of his skill and his intuition? And I mean, that would be awesome if he really understood how to do both shows. That all being said, should we get into it?
Why not?
We've
Issue
had a
100.
good 10-minute preamble about the X-Men, and I know what I'm here for. I'm here for issue 100. I put away my. Oh man, I actually didn't even read it in its essentials format, so I don't know what's going to be different. But today, I'm reading it as Classic X-Men number 8.
Right.
So I don't know what's different, and there's one moment in it that I've marked as like, what's in the original? I need to know, so I can't wait.
Right. And I'm reading the original on this box,
which is incredible.
But I opened the box, and it's
no. Hold on.
Oh.
I'm still not figuring out how to do this right.
I don't mind it's not like I'm backstage.
I want you to be in the other, like, to put this there.
Start my life, bro. Put that
solo there. Hold on, I got it. Boom. Let's see.
Boom.
How are you watching it?
There, on this box, through this box. DVD right here.
Amazing.
Yeah, 485 complete printable comics. There you go.
I love how they say it's printable.
You can do PDFs.
So what was in the inside of the box? You're going to show the inside?
Oh, the inside box is some classic issue covers to let you know kind of what's in it, right? So it's got everything on there we go. It's got like some of the classic X-Men stories from the 60s and 70s. Over there. And then over here, it's got some of those like Days of Future Past. There's 93, Dark Phoenix, introduction of Gambit, because that's apparently a big deal.
It is for a lot of fans. Remember, I mean, that cartoon, people loved Gambit, and he was the least interesting character for me. I had aged out of the comic, and one of the last issues that I bought was his first. I just was like, no, I don't care about this character.
Well, no, and you did. I mean, I don't even know what he's wearing, but it doesn't matter. What you did say at the beginning, though, the intro, this is a generational thing. So there you go, right? Like generations of fans, right? There are some characters that are associated with different generations.
Totally. Mm-hmm. All right. So let's get this into our
high gear. What a cover.
I think it's great.
Great.
Do you remember Little Group of 7 Comics anecdote for you?
Oh,
there was a moment in time
where
this was an option as an homage for issue 6, I believe.
6. I remember that.
So there is a full 11x17 sketch of this cover as Group of 7 characters with John McCrae and David Lopin as the two front characters. And I quickly hit the wall of like, well, who are the other characters on the villain side?
Just straight up like monsters and goon soldiers.
Yeah, it was a good idea. I think if we had at the time had a larger profile that demanded multiple covers, it totally would have been done. Mm-hmm. We would have done both.
Yeah.
But this is a great one to show. And we mentioned last week too that I find that the pairing off of which characters with which character to be interesting, reinforcing the premise or the thesis that Colossus was going to be was sort of projecting to be the main hero character in the series. Right. Given that he looks so dynamic, his powers are like he's a really powerful kick. He's the Superman kind of the team in a way, that he has the strength and invulnerability.
Maybe geopolitical got into this,
perhaps, or we'll see. Also, maybe the writing and art teams just start to draw a different character. Really,
just having like in 1970s America having a Soviet hero.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Maybe it didn't fit into it, but it is an interesting conversation.
There also is a disconnect often between the creators and the readers, in that what appeals to a couple of 30 to 40-year-old New York liberals.
Just replace New York or Toronto, and we're talking about ourselves.
And what appeals to a widespread audience of kids reading. Like maybe they want to, the writers are, Cockrum and Claremont, Chris Claremont being the writer, Dave Cockrum being the penciler, and sometimes inker. Maybe what they want to see isn't the same thing as what a kid wants to see.
No.
Definitely by the time I was reading this in the 80s, the idea of it being Russian, he was so pure of heart. Like there was no weird anti-American agenda being read by me. I wasn't perceiving him as being anything other than trying just to help people. And he, missed his commune back home. Anyway, really dynamic cover. And again, Wolverine at the back. This is totally not the bread and butter character. Whereas by, 5 to 7, 8 years from here, he's going to be on other books covers as a way to give them a sales boost. Right.
Yeah. And I always do love a team face-off cover. It's been done a number of times, and for me, it's always an exciting trope for a cover.
Looking at it, it's now about a year into the new X-Men, this new version. Mm-hmm. Again, they're still not called the Uncanny X-Men, right?
Nope.
We've just had these other, all new, all different, and a couple other things like that. But this is a way maybe to attract some sales too. So I pass the newsstand every month or every week, and I see these X-Men, and I'm like, who are all these new characters? Well, oh my gosh, it's the new X-Men against the old X-Men. This looks like a good place. Like, oh, this is coming to a head. Why is Xavier standing up? So this one definitely is an better.
That's the other one. It was like the crumpled wheelchair in the background behind Xavier is it's just kind of like I don't know. He's conquered it.
My X-Men little display.
You clearly know something
right there. I tried.
Yeah,
I failed. You can't see.
That's okay. I mean, look at honestly, if there was a 6th row of this, it'd be Xavier versus the wheelchair.
All right, great cover. Moving on. Did you like, by the way, the digitally altered version I put together?
That one that's classic. You got to keep that one.
You saw the little.
Oh, of course.
Little face.
The little Meester egg. Absolutely.
Oh, and that was good. I like that.
Thanks, buddy.
Easter egg. All right.
So all right, let's get it.
Let's take a look at the first page here.
Which is basically similar.
We see this a lot in comics in that time period where the opening splash page is a retelling of the cover in some way. Mm-hmm. Really basic idea of like putting a character in front of a screen so that you're getting double images. It serves as 2 different narratives at the same time.
Yeah.
We're getting this.
But reversed.
Yes.
Now we see Wolverine and Iceman, right? It's the reversed image.
Right, because if you think about it, whose eyes is he looking through?
Who's watching? And we're watching the watcher.
We are watching. And I also love how he's turned around. Like he doesn't want to face the screen, kind of.
Yeah.
Or what's going on there. Like, anyway. Greater love hath no X-Man.
Hath no X-Man.
So here they are described by the editorial or the writing team. Stanley Presents the Uncanny X-Men. They are being described as that, but they're not being put as that on the title.
And that's consistent for the issues we've read so far.
Yeah.
Uncanny X-Men appears on the first page.
Like the masthead, sort of.
That's right.
I like that. It's a good splash, but is there anything you need to talk about with this splash?
Well, I think what I'm loving, I do love this page because he is going full villain mode here. Dr. Lang. Including the arms in the air and the screaming, which it's nice. It's a fun trope for comics, and he's just so bad and so evil that he must yell and talk about extermination. So
the issue. I mean, I find that Claremont is kind of doing 2 things at the same time. One, he's poetically being a narrator, and going through and sort of weaving his skill as a writer there, and then he's just doing as comic book action, as superhero comics always do, just characters sort of doing verbal jabs at each other that are as lame as they can possibly be. So it's like you have to kind of be able to write both. You have to be able to write lame jabs, and you have to be able to sort of weave a little bit of poetic language as a narrator. And they're 2 different skills, and he does both of them really well for this time period.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's a recap. You heard Professor X crew.
Yeah.
Those imposters are the deadliest foes we've ever faced. read it, and he's like, "So what are you waiting? What are we waiting for, Angel?
Bird
Let's waste
brain.
the bird brains because
Called bird brain.
bird brains is great.
So
And
you know
let's do it
something's wrong.
now.
They're not free.
Yeah, I've won.
Yeah, I've won.
He's
I've won.
nuts.
Yeah.
He's just
Anyway.
nuts. And then the
Then we get
next
this.
is like, this
Right?
did you change?
Yeah, to the
It's not changing on my screen here. Oh, there we
the
go.
full 2 pages.
The double page splash.
Yeah.
Just awesome. This one is really good.
This is really great.
Tons of fun. And
Tons of fun.
like, how is Havoc's head still on?
You mean
Havoc being Havoc. Did I go? But Colossus gives him a punch in the head.
Oh, I see.
How is that person's
How
skull still intact?
I think he says something like, "I give you my full strength" or something, villain or something like that. He rages out against Havoc. Maybe it's in a later page.
It's later, and
but then I think to myself, "Oh, you should be dead."
Yes,
but I do love the snowball in Wolverine's face. That is
splot.
That is. I mean, how many times are you going to see Wolverine take a snowball in the face? Also, it brings into question Iceman's powers. Like, he has all these powers. He's like, I'm going to start you off, snowball straight to the face, and it's going to go down your suit, and you can't get it out. You can't get it out. It's going to be super uncomfortable because that's me, Bobby Drake.
And again, we get the language from this writer who's using language that is no longer appropriate to describe somebody who is smaller. But that's really common. There's a lot of that. And, Angel and Banshee, the two Flyers, are off fighting.
Sure.
And the reader is not supposed to understand, like, how is this possible, right? How is it possible that the first group of X-Men are fighting this new group? This doesn't make any sense. Why would they do this? Like, that's supposed to be on our mind.
Also, this is the first time we see Havoc and Polaris as part of this new group. They don't show up as the last 2 pages in the previous issue, and they don't show up.
True.
I mean, they're part of they're part of the team, but this to me actually shocked me a little bit when I saw it was like 5-on-5, and then it's like, oh, Havoc and Polaris are there too.
Right. But you remember how they were in Giant Size #1?
Yes. Of course. I just mean they don't make any mention of them whatsoever until this page, and they must be part of it too. Yeah.
Right.
That's all.
Neat looking. I'm digging this a lot. Anyway, cool.
Love it.
All right.
On board.
And Xavier is like, kill the imposters, my X-Men.
Yeah.
Kill them all.
Kill them all.
Incredible. So mean.
He is. We talked about that.
Yeah.
But in this version of Xavier specifically. Then we get our acrobats versus our acrobats. So it's a circus fight.
It's kind of cute.
Yeah.
And I don't know why Beast throws him at Cyclops. Oops. Sorry, Dauntless Leader.
Yeah. It's such a strange thing to say.
They really do a lot of that sort of. I mean, there's more of that Mister stuff happening.
Yeah.
Oh, here's my question.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a line or two missing, but can you do me a favor and do a reading of the first sequence from Nightcrawler with Beast?
Okay, here we go.
Okay, thank you.
Indeed, one of them is after me. You are called the Beast, are you not? I recognize you from some old photographs, but I thought you'd gone all hairy and joined the Avengers. You anthropomorphic elf, the bashful Beast has never been hirsute. And as for the rest, they threw you out? Oh, sorry, my friend, but since you will not come to me, the Beast and his dexterous digits must of a surety come to you. Walk.
So why does he say they threw you out?
So is it because has never been hirsute? Has never been, I think he mishears him. Hirsute? I was trying to figure that out, but like
he's saying I've never been hairy. I've never been like what does that have to do with join the Avengers? And as for the rest, like, is there a line missing? Is there a word balloon gone from these versions?
I don't know.
Like, I feel like he should be saying, and I've never been an Avenger. Like, I'm no Avenger. Right. I don't know.
I thought it was an attempted clever wordplay that I was not picking up. So then
it caught me as really, really weird. I thought it might be a reprint issue, but clearly our versions are the same. Although some of the coloring is mildly different, but it doesn't really make a difference. Anyway, then we get Iceman and Wolverine.
Yeah.
And he's just shooting shooting snow at this guy.
Yeah.
And Wolverine does smash through the ice, but doesn't hit Iceman.
No.
Yeah.
No, but he does. He's close. He's close
He's
to
getting
turning
angry.
into ice cubes. But
yeah. Then Angel grabs him and tosses him into Colossus.
Throws him.
And then we get the moment we've all been waiting for. For how many issues we've been waiting for this? This is big.
8 issues, I guess, because they've been teammates for 8 issues.
He says, "Now get us out of here, Colossus. That winged yo-yo owes me a rematch. As you wish, my friend." Okay, then. Just like we did in the Danger Room.
That's right.
Here we go. The fastball special. Execute now. And off they go. And we see a fastball special, which I don't know why people love it as much as I don't know why we love it as much as we do. But the fastball special is just this iconic X-Men thing that is really missed in the cartoon, because it would have been the thing they would do every single.
Well, and they do it in X3 during the training program.
And it didn't feel right, because in X3, which has another name, it's called
X-Men: The Last Stand.
The Last Stand. Thank you. Colossus picks him up by like the back of his belt and his collar, and kind of swings around and chucks him.
And it kind of like flies through the air, right? It's
so my explanation for why that's not a fastball special is because that's not how you throw a fastball.
Okay, well, you can take that with Brett Ratner.
It's this throw, you have to throw.
It's almost like he's being thrown over a bar, actually.
Yes, he's being chucked.
Come on, you.
And hello there, toying around. How are you? Nice to see you. Hope you're having a good evening. Kevin, do you think that what we see in the bottom corner here, in the bottom right corner, even though they call it a fastball special, we saw that in, like Chris is saying, in X3. Do you consider what they did in X3 a fastball special, or maybe a nod to the fastball special, a reference? Or do you not know what a fastball special is? I do not know. I'm interested.
Spinning shot.
He says it's a spinning shot put. Yeah, I definitely thought it was a nod to it. And for the fans, we all kind of like laughed or cheered. Yeah. But if Wolverine had stepped onto Colossus's hand and he had have chucked him, like, he doesn't have to pick him up by his bum, but you give the guy a boost, you get it in the palm of your hand, you throw it for the foot. It's got to be an overhand throw. Like, look at what Colossus is doing in that picture. It is awesome. And when you land a fastball special, it is deadly. There's an issue
one for Angel
in like Astonishing X-Men.
Okay.
Way down, in the maybe 2005 or whatnot, around that time period, where there's something like in coming out of orbit, or an airplane, I guess, maybe flying by, and Colossus chucks him at that at like high velocity. It's awesome. Wolverine just is going to go up and he's going to come down, and it's going to be painful.
There are some excellent Wolverine flying through the air and hitting ground impact in that series.
Oh, you remember? Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're in I want to say they're in a space shuttle or something at one point, and they have to bail, and they all bail in their own way, and Wolverine hits the ground like a comet, and then he sits there, and then they all land, and I still thought this line. I mean, so good lines stick with you, right? Like good writing stick with you, and someone said, "Hey, Wolverine," he goes, "No, I can't hear you. My ears haven't grown back yet."
Right.
I was like, "Brilliant! That's brilliant."
Yeah, his pain threshold really shifts depending what era and
also
that's okay.
The healing factor, the literal like growth of his body back into what it needs to become.
Yeah.
I also liked Armor. Armor was a kind of a cool.
Oh, he's a great character.
In that series.
Pardon me?
Was she introduced in that series?
Yeah.
And like I liked her power, where she drew upon her power of her ancestors to protect her in this armor.
Super cool.
Yeah, it was cool. Anyway.
I hope we get an action figure of her where they'll have to maybe be a Build-A-Figure where they
that would be
do like her outer shell.
Outer shell around this kind of younger girl.
Yeah. Hey, Kevin, do you know if they've ever made an Armor Marvel Legends? Do you know the character we're talking about, firstly? And secondly, have they made a Marvel Legends of? If not, I would love it if they did one day. I guess hopefully they'll do an Astonishing Wave maybe next year. And we'll get Armor as the BAF. And have the character in the middle of a... That's good. Floating arm. It would be super cool.
And so then she could wear the classic, like, almost New Mutant suit.
That's right.
Right? Like the trainee type teenage suit, but then she'd be surrounded by, I think we're on this.
Yeah. I like that idea a lot. All right. But moving on. So Wolverine has been thrown at Angel. He should gut him. But we'll see what happens. Kevin says, I don't think she has a figure. I agree. I haven't seen one yet. But all the more reason that we get one. And I bet you with the team at Hasbro Marvel Legends at the moment, I think they're fans of her too. So hopefully we'll see one. I love this spread of Colossus being nailed by Havoc with his blast. It looks great.
Yeah. I also love when characters take any opportunity to say the name of who they are.
Yes. The dialogue is all nothing. It's all just like, why are you doing this? We're your friend. And then the other character just belittling with some, again, really
this is my name. This is what I do.
Yeah. None of it works. They're all just thinking and saying exactly what you think they're thinking and saying. There isn't any sort of insightful dialogue. Just Colossus now talking himself up as like,
you just watched the scene. Kevin,
what's that?
Kevin, you just watched it. Man, thank you.
It's an homage for sure. It's definitely not technically a fastball special, given that, like I said, he picks him up by the collar and the back of the belt. That's not how you throw a fastball, so that's not a fastball special. That's my logic.
Throws Jazz out in Fresh Prince.
Yes, yeah. So we could
100%.
make a very different name of what it means. We could call it, a jazz toss. Like I don't. There's got to be something.
It's
better.
A bar. He's being thrown out of a bar.
Yes,
is what it is.
And he spins around too. He spins around. Howdy, how are you? I hope you're an X-Men fan. We'll see. All right, moving on.
So here we see, and this is one thing we talked about earlier was Havoc should be dead because Colossus goes 100% full strength on him and even talks about it and hits him with a metal something. And bye-bye Havoc. Or at least should knock that helmet off his head.
Yes, I didn't realize. I should just read it. Yeah, it's so DK, Derek. I know. Good toy collector, good buddy, nice guy, super nice. Hey Derek, how are you doing, man? Big Transformers guy.
Cool.
If I ever had a Transformers question, DK would be first guy I'd ask.
Okay.
But anyway, sometimes I don't always remember everyone's screen name. So Kevin, thank you for he's being clever and just DK in the comments. There you go. Yeah, I know who you are, but it's just often again the screen names throw me off. I'm old. Look at me. Look at this.
It's true.
Hope you're good, man. Everything's good with me. Hope everything's good with you. Do you read X-Men comics? Did you used to read? You watch the cartoon? I don't know DK's history with the X-Men here. But anyway, hopefully you'll tell us, and maybe you've read this one before, or maybe you have not read these old X-Men comics. Havoc should be dead. Colossus is determined at this point to really do some damage too.
Yeah.
Like he needs to end this, and he just
it's like rage. It's like Hulk rage levels.
And he hits him with
piece of girder,
like an I-beam. Havoc should easily be dead. Moving on, Storm and Jean Grey go at it, and they have a quick talk. Storm realizes pretty quick something's wrong with Jean Grey because they're not friends, Like the two of them are roommates. They're supposed to be really tight, emotionally close, and Jean is responding as if they've never been friends. What of the hours we spent together, the confidences we've shared? Liar! I don't know you, never talked to you, never shared a confidence. It's a cheap shot, lady, and it won't work.
You know what?
Mister?
That's going to be the voice in my head now for Jean Grey. You,
sassy.
Sassy. The other thing is Polaris shows up too, and they literally put all the female characters on one page. Like, how can we do this? How can we do this? Well, let's get back to the guys fighting. So we'll put all 3 female characters on one page, and that'll be that.
For sure.
Totally.
Derek says that he watched the cartoons. Yeah. You don't have to read the old stuff. There's a lot out there, and loving the cartoons and loving the movies as a younger person. You don't have to. Whatever version of it you're into, that's the whole point. It's like all of it works for some people in one way or another, and that's the beauty of the X-Men. They're kind of a universal family and superhero team that finds a way to get into your heart, whether it's through cartoons or comics. So I've watched the cartoons. Chris, we watched the cartoons, but that's why you can tune in here and read the old stuff with us. It's all good. And Kev got you into X-Force.
I do like that Marvel Girl costume. I do like the colors.
Come on.
I know you have her behind you, but even with the up,
Yeah, the
Wolverine
mask is
like triangle.
Just talking character design, I do like the
Yeah.
costume too for being of a time.
Oh, sure.
I don't understand how that masquerade mask can translate into movie form. And like, how do you
Who's
MCU that?
Yeah.
Yeah, the go-go outfit, I just don't see it translating into movie form. But
No.
that's part of the fun. Does X-Force count as X-Men? Yeah, it's a Rob Liefeld rebrand of X-Men, right? It's the New Mutants get a new title under Liefeld and takes them into becoming a training team to like a badass special ops team. I think it counts as an iteration of X-Men, but that's my way of doing it. Kevin is saying, "Oh my God, Jason, you got a mic." I gotta say, I've had a mic for a long time, but also the picture is a lot better. I got a new computer today. Yeah. So the old computer was 2009. This is 2021. So
this is 2011.
It's going to be an old computer by next week, right? But anyway, moving on. But things do sound better. They look better, I hope.
Look better.
And hey, Kevin, all your support has really helped me get to this point. So thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, new computer's fun. All right. So the women, they fight, and then they get out of that page. And we see that Banshee is getting on the fray.
Yeah, he's getting pissed.
Storm is stuck again. She seems to get stuck regularly under things. Is like they really play into that weak side of her fear of entrapment, and which turns into like a full-blown claustrophobia within the series and every iteration. I don't remember if there's any version of her in the movies that has any claustrophobic tendency. I can't think of anything yet, but it might have just escaped my mind because it's kind of unimportant. And then we get this image again where Xavier with Wolverine, like the way that Wolverine looks in from that side profile. I feel like we've seen that drawing like 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Not in this issue, but in previous issues. And then as he's mouthing off to Xavier, "Your threats don't impress me much, Shania Twain. Your threats don't impress me, Wolverine.
Nice.
In fact, very little about you impresses me. Holy shit," he says.
I know, right?
And then Xavier just decks Wolverine.
It's like that scene in Pearl Harbor. Remember that movie Pearl Harbor?
I did not watch Pearl Harbor.
Michael Bay.
I knew better by then. I was old enough to know.
The scene is John Voight is playing FDR, who is famously was stricken by polio and could not stand at this point in his life.
Could not or would not?
Well, I don't know. Maybe that's up to history. All to say, there is a scene where he's declaring war. We got to do this or something. We got to get involved. And he stands up at the desk. And everyone goes, right. And we all go, wait a minute. But Michael Bay, what are you gonna do?
Again, I've only seen FDR through movies.
Right.
I've always been under the impression that it would take a toll for him to do that.
Yeah, John Voight plays him best.
This is the reaction that the reader is supposed to have.
Right.
So,
thank you.
Derek, you've got it completely. You didn't have to change your name for us, by the way. But I get it. But thank you. It's cool. So yes, Xavier is walking here for reasons that will become clear.
Something's up.
So, right? And so I want you on your feet, friend. I want the satisfaction of knocking you down again, Xavier says. "Nice punch, Prof. I'll give you that. But I ain't going down a second time." There you go. And then Jean, on the contrary, Wolverine, you are going down. Like the lingo is just awful between the characters. It really is.
But it's so funny because Claremont, we've talked so much about how much he likes to write verbosity of his language, and there are some things that are fantastic. He opened the last issue 2 issues ago with Shakespeare. Wonderful. Like it hit the spot. It was super relatable. And then we get lines of dialogue like this. Right. So I know he's still finding his footing, but it's really interesting to compare and contrast some things that he seamlessly does very well and other things that he's still learning.
I think also it's just of the time. Like every character has to say in as many words as can fill the page. "Oh yeah? Oh yeah? We'll try this." So she says, "On the contrary, Wolverine. Oh yeah? You are going down, only you won't be getting up again. Ever.
Ever.
Yeah. Good girl, Jean. This arrogant fool hasn't a chance against your mental powers. And then Wolverine gets into thinking.
Also, how patronistic is it? Good girl, Jean.
Yeah, oh, it's terrible.
Terrible.
It's terrible. And this is one of the first times we get also like into Wolverine's head. And as the sweat is pouring and his brain is exploding into Kirby Crackle. Lord, my brain. Feels like it's burning.
My Canadian brain.
My Canadian brain can't think for the pain. Only my instincts left to guide me. Yeah, my instincts, my senses. Oh, it's like, okay, we're going, it's going somewhere.
Yeah.
It won't be long now, Professor. Right there, lady. Mister. They love it. Anyway.
Yeah.
Only you got it backwards. Just couldn't see till now. You see, folks. You see, hey, everybody out
We're
there.
The folks. He's talking
see, folks, I'm like an animal. I don't know from faces. I know from sense, voices, feelings. I also know Jean Grey and lady, whatever you are. You ain't Jean Grey. I love it.
He might as well said, I can't remember names, but I'm good with faces. Or I'm the opposite. He might as well, like, you know, I go to these parties, I can remember nobody's name. I'm pretty good with faces.
I also love the time that Claremont chooses to give him his accent.
Yes.
You know, only you got it backwards. Just couldn't see till now. You know, you see, folks, but then he says, I know from sense, voices, feelings with the G, not feelings, but feelings.
Feelings, G.
And lady, whatever you are, you ain't. Not you aren't. Like if you just said are, would like whatever you are, you aren't Jean Grey. No, you ain't Jean Grey. Whatever you, it would be whatever you is.
All your bases are mine. You know, like what is that?
Whatever you is, you ain't Jean Grey. Is like
Jean Grey.
Yeah, anyway. So
and then we get the shock.
I mean, everybody. Like there isn't even time for a scream. Everyone's just freaking out.
I was wondering about this. So I know we'll go to the next page, but like, and here, let's go to the next page, and then we can talk about what we see. So we see the reaction of the team.
It's incredible.
Banshee getting, you know, he's also super shocked. And then they even mention the Dr. Lang, but I must see what happens. The camera has shifted. Like, also, he doesn't see what happens.
On my screen, it hasn't changed pages yet.
Oh. No, I'm gonna change it right now. I haven't changed yet. Sorry.
Oh, I thought you did. Sorry.
No, there we go.
Oh, yeah. Incredible.
Hey,
what page number is that? 16, 17?
Yeah, 16, 17. What do you got?
There's this talk in comics about with these older issues, trying to pace it so that when you do a double page spread, it's on page 12, 13 with the staple. Yeah, just this idea that like if you're gonna go big,
middle of the book,
you do the middle of the book, like you get that. And I'm working on one right now in a comic book I'm drawing called Heroic Tales, and I'm on page 12 and 13.
Oh, you're doing that, eh?
Well, I'm not saying I'm doing it, but I've heard Jim Rugg and Eddie P talk about it on Cartoons Kayfabe quite a bit. Like if you're doing an action issue of superhero comics like this, the double page spread is for big stuff. Like this moment is perfect. And I would even argue that this is simultaneously a double page spread, but it also is a clever composition for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 panels. Right? So it's both at the same time, which is really, really fun. But if you're going to do the double page, like you save it for the middle of the... Anyway, but again, they don't want to spoil it. Also, it's the page that the book opens to most easily when you just open a book.
Sure, you just open a book.
So this would spoil for a kid who picked it up off the newsstand. So I get why they wouldn't put it there. But that's great to see her gut it open and done. Done? I've met the enemy, bub, and it ain't us.
Yep.
And
so this is the first time too that going back to the previous page where we are given indication that Wolverine's power set is something that, you know, they talk about his senses, his instincts. So he's animalistic. We already know the name is there, the hair is there, all those other pieces. But this is a bit more of a deep dive into what he's capable of.
It's making good use of his powers too, right? Like he is the guy who should be able to work his way out of this particular problem, right? They're up against I mean, it's revealed in this moment they're up against robots of some kind.
X-Sentinels.
X-Sentinels, which is a great idea,
Are
by
there
the way.
Marvel Legends of X-Sentinels?
I would be. They don't really use this enough, considering
Like,
the Sentinels.
right? Like, would it be cool? It'd be cool to see like a, I don't know, Marvel girl with like a metallic ripped open stomach.
It's funny you ripped open. Yes, perhaps.
Well, but I mean, as like a, I don't know.
So they just announced on Thursday, on Fan First Thursday from Hasbro Marvel Legends, they are putting out a figure of a character called Ragnarok in the new year, which is a version of a Thor cyborg. It's half clone, half cyborg that Hank Pym, Reed Richards, and maybe Stark work on during Marvel's Civil War in the mid 2000s. You remember?
Yeah, straight up blew a hole in Goliath's chest.
So yes, it was awesome. It was a really big moment.
He fell.
And he did fall.
They had to dig that grave.
So you remember well. Good.
Yeah, that's like the biggest grave I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. It was a really big moment because Thor had been dead in the comics. And when the heroes see that Thor is on the side of the government, and they were all scared because he had that look in his eye.
Yeah.
And of course it was this clone. Sorry to spoil if you haven't read Civil War from, again, 2005-ish. It was a big moment. So they're putting out basically a redo of the Thor figure with an alternate head that has got the half robot with the red eyes. Sure. It's fun for fans who want that. It can be your Thor figure or it could be your Ragnarok figure.
But that's the name they gave it, Ragnarok. Interesting.
Right. He's kind of like the end of days, right?
Yeah.
So neat. So this is a really cool page. Ripped open Jean Grey, Wolverine ready to go, kind of being the hero for the first time of the moment. Like he's turning the tide for the whole team in this exact moment, which is really cool and definitely a sign of things to come. I love that Stephen Lang has a missing tooth.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, because Cyclops beat him.
In the last issue, Cyclops pounded on him so hard. And
he still has bruises, right? Around those eyes, right? You're still
right. I mean, this is only minutes afterward, but I just love that he's got a tooth knocked out. It's just really good.
I also like in classic goonery or villain, he has the name of his secret project, Project Armageddon, as the A on his uniform in case he ever forgets. Wait a minute, guys, we met for that team meeting. What project are we on again? Guys, which one? Right. Remind me. It's tip my tongue. Steven, look at your shirt. Oh, right.
And then it goes, there. I don't want to read through all of this, but he does explain everything.
He does.
And I don't know who he's talking to.
Us.
Okay, fine. So he talks about getting into Trask's Sentinel program, getting access to that stuff. And then
he mentions the shadowy organization.
Right. I determined to deal with that threat and so became involved with the Council of the Chosen.
Council of the Chosen.
They had their own plans for you mutants. They offered me money, materiel. Like what? All the help I needed, never realizing that I had planned to betray them. So this shadow organization of Cobra Commanders that are there.
So this my thought too. 5 Cobra Commanders.
This is what Chris Claremont, in hindsight, is filling in the issues of Classic X-Men, where he shows the more content with the Hellfire Club. That's who he's saying the Council of the Chosen are. It's the Hellfire Club. So he's trying to wrap them together because this is a thread they don't come back to in comics at that time. But when they try and fix it 10 years later or 12 years later, that's the idea, is that they are something. They're not nothing. The Council of the Chosen. All right. Really good.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Again, there are a few really striking pages that we've already talked about in this.
Right. And we see the other X-Men were in test tubes the whole time. So that's why I get an extra page of a little bit of here. I'll just show. I get a little.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay.
Where stuff is happening. And a little dialogue between one of the henchmen and Stephen Lang.
I was going to say, he's a henchman he's talking to? Okay.
Yeah, and a guy who's not very happy. And the art is not great compared to Cochrum's skill or anyone else in 1987 when this comes out, or 86, who could have done something much cooler. But maybe it's a rush or a fill-in or an opportunity for a new cartoonist. But Cyclops starts working on getting out.
Yes.
Which he wasn't doing before for some reason. For reasons.
Too busy watching the show.
Yes. He was watching the show and didn't want to focus his powers. But now he is determined. These negatubes, they are designed to inhibit the use of our mutant powers. And he explains, but each fluctuation of the station's power grid disrupts the tube's energy field as well. I can fire my optic blasts if I keep up the pressure. Full strength, please, Lord. Let it be enough to break free. And then it is.
And that's when he just says, I've had enough.
Yeah. That's when you have a chance to go back and...
Mister.
I've had enough, mister.
But not mister.
And he frees everyone. Professor X is still unconscious. So they don't get access to his support or guidance or, insights.
Mm-hmm.
But look at this picture of Lang. And, he's just... I love that missing tooth. It's so funny. It's really rare in comics you see a character who's supposed to take seriously and they have a missing tooth. So that's great.
It's true.
Anyway.
He gets in what lost me here, I was with the whole issue. I'm like, I'm on board. And then he says, I'm going to get in my flying gunship. That's the moment where I went, I don't believe that. All of this.
With it in a little booster seat.
It's just right? It's such a weird... I have a flying gunship that is just in the space we're in.
It is weird.
To blast you because it's one-seater. It's just got one gun in the seat. It's such a weird device.
It's very...
You just could have picked up a gun.
Toy.
Yeah.
Coward? You dare call me a coward? I'm a man, Cyclops, which is more than you'll ever be, you mutant swine. Do you hear me, homo so-called superior? A man.
A man.
Homo so-called superior. I love it. Not so-called homo superior, but homo so-called superior.
And this is where you break in the I'm a man speech from Anchorman. I'm a man.
And now that I've reached my flying gunship, I'll prove it.
Right, I'll prove to you in my flying gunship.
Pew, pew.
Pew, 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 pew.
Yes. And now that the X-Men know that they're up against robots or droids of some kind, they not hold back. Right away, Banshee destroys one with his sonic blast, and Storm destroys the Cyclops one with some lightning fire.
Looks like.
Yeah, they go crazy.
Yeah.
And the Cyclops says it. Here goes. I fought a lot of villains in my time, mister. Take a drink. He says, mister.
Take a drink. That is the game.
Yeah.
The Cyclops drinking game.
Yes. And then we get this neat... Actually, do you mind going back one?
Oh, yeah,
I want to see the coloring on Jean when she starts to...
Oh,
it's the same. Okay.
Okay.
She's doing some cool stuff. She's messing with his controls.
Mm-hmm.
And...
My controls, they're moving. And then he says, help me, X-Men, help me.
So he crashes. And then I get a really weird picture where... missing... They redo half that page? Well, let me look at yours for a sec. Okay, so the crash panel's the same, and then I get 4 panels on that page. The bottom 4, like the to the right and the 2 in the bottom, are different.
Okay.
It is... Do you want me to show you or just tell you?
No, whatever. It's all right.
So there's that moment where they crash, and then he's like, I'm alive.
Yeah, they don't do any of that.
Of course not, because it's bad. And then, you're going back to Earth to stand trial. I can't wait.
Mister.
And then there's another explosion.
Does he...
They won't...
Okay.
They won't consider me, I think he says, they won't consider me a villain, but a hero. And then something blows up.
And he blows up.
And they go flying. Jean's shielding them. And then the next panel, which again is something you don't have, is here. We get Wolverine, Banshee, and Colossus digging out, trying to get to the characters.
Yeah.
And then it's back to where you were.
Right. So Lang's done.
He's done?
Is he?
I don't know.
Okay.
So they say
there's a body count in these.
that he blows himself up.
Nefarious is dead. Thunderbird is dead.
They say he blew himself up?
Well, I think so. I don't think we see him after that.
So he crashes, then there's an explosion.
Yeah.
And they just added this little part where they try and save him, and then he blows himself up. As opposed to them killing him. Like, I don't know if that adds any value. Anyway.
And now we have the moment of decision.
Right. Well, the first moment of decision is we've got to get out of here.
Yeah.
So they've got that space shuttle that's stuck.
Yeah, do you remember how we talked about that last issue? We're like, man, that space shuttle.
There's a space shuttle stuck in the side of a space station with a perfect seal around it. If they had even did one line about a force field or some foam or whatever, but they just have literally this space shuttle piercing the outer hull of a space station, and the space shuttle is intact completely. Amazing. Fully functional, even though it crashed. And anyway, so they all climb in. Stephen Lang's going to fly it. Manual re-entry. What about it, Wolverine? In case you hadn't noticed, we've got a thumping great hole in the shuttle's hull.
No pressure suits.
And no pressure suits. That's the least of our problems. The solar flare that's been talked about now for a couple issues.
Mm-hmm.
So just to make a long story short, they realize that the only one who can fly it under these conditions is Dr. Corbeau, but he won't be able to survive.
Right.
So you can either survive, if there was someone who's strong enough, or they could pilot, but there's no one who can do it. And Jean says, wrong, Dr. Corbeau. And that's a great drawing because there's a lot of emotion in that one from her.
There is.
I can do both.
I agree.
It's this really big, great hero moment that we've seen a million times in movies, but we have never seen from Jean. And right away, Cyclops rejects the idea, belittles her. Since when you read it like this? Are you crazy, Jean? Since when are you a qualified astronaut? if you read it like that, it sounds terrible, but I think I'm going to project what I think he's, the spirit in which it's intended, which is like, you can't. I love you, and I don't want you to endanger yourself because you're not able to do this, but I need to also say this so the reader knows how you're going to get out of it.
What do you think? And so then she takes the information, which is that a new power thing?
She neos it. She just now.
She neos it. I know kung fu.
I love how hold still, Doctor. This will only hurt a little. I love how how easily she does this. She just takes selective information out of his brain. Right. And as a telepath, she's able to absorb all of everything he knows about flying a space shuttle.
Does he now lose that then?
I don't know how these things work because they're not
rules
real.
Rules of telepathy work? Okay.
And then how you survive the solar flare.
Kill you? Do I become you?
But now you can see when I talked about this dress 2 to 3 weeks ago, how again it's iconic for this hero moment for her. This is what she's wearing, right? The black dress that's been torn.
He even said, okay, so what do you think he's saying? How do you think he finishes that sentence where he says, Cyclops says, and how will you survive the solar flare? You little.
Oh my God. I never even thought of that.
What is he finishing there?
You little wonderful hero. I mean,
right. You little love of my life. You little beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh God, I just want to hold you. It's pretty aggressive. And
it is so aggressive. He's shaking her shoulders. That is not.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's terrible, man. And that's something we've come back to a number of times, and we probably will again. Their relationship, the way it's been portrayed in these issues, is Jean, get out of there. Jean, get out of there.
Yeah.
Logan, do something to that guy.
There's a few things at play here. One, this isn't a real relationship. This is...
The show is eye-opening.
Derek says, yes, the show is eye-opening. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
It's this guy writing... Chris Claremont is just writing script to get out the schlock for the month. There isn't thought as to how this is going to be interpreted.
Right.
But also, there are not great precedents set in pop culture for how relationships work up until this point anyway. So they're living in a world where there aren't great example of respectful
I guess I don't know
relationships on equal terms.
Life. He could,
he didn't have to write it that way. It is really aggressive, especially for him to call her a you little whatever. Is it going to be you little bitch? What was it going to be?
That's where my mind went.
Yeah, and you and I both, we carry our histories of the
Yeah.
world in which we were raised, and and what we're the culture in which we absorbed information, which whether someone wants to challenge and say that you or I are racist or sexist or whatever, that I can't address, but I can say we both come from a place where things aren't equal. We've been raised in a world where we were raised within misogynistic culture and patriarchal culture, and where there definitely are like things are slanted toward some people more than others, and we absorb that, and hopefully we filter out or process as much of it as we possibly can to not pass it on.
Yeah, I mean, so Derek's asking. This is 1976, by the way. He's like, what
1976.
1976. We've seen the 60s. We've seen at this point a massive women's liberation and feminist movement really take hold, especially in the United States. Anyway, it's a bit, to me, it's. I mean, yes, we are looking at this 40 to 50 years later, but it is still shocking, considering that Jean and Scott have always seemed to be an item of some. I don't know if that's explored in the earlier 60s X-Men, but
yes.
Neither was I. I was not born in 1976. So
I was.
You were. Well, so then this is you. No. Blame you.
So she knocks him out. Basically, says,
"I'm
going to handle this. I can do this." And here we go. And take him to the aft. Take him aft to the life cell, Banshee. You hit him pretty hard, lassie.
Yeah.
I meant to. He's a dick.
Yeah.
By the time he wakes up, we'll be committed. And then you get another person challenges her.
Yeah.
Right. Another man comes to challenge her for her choices.
Yeah.
And it's great. Wolverine's like, "Nice shot, lady. You bucking for Martyr of the Year or something?" And I love it. Her response here, like, "Make it quick, Wolverine. I'm busy." Oof.
And she's so much. He is in that second panel. He is demonstrably smaller than she is. Look at the size of her head compared to his head.
Yeah, she just gives it to him. She's like, "My name is Jean, mister. Take a shot."
Yeah.
And I've just about had it with you. I've tried to like you, Wolverine, obnoxious little upstart that you are. But for the life of me, I don't know why I made the effort. Like, I'm about to die, and I'm going to just lay this on you before I die. So shut your mouth and get into the life cell now before I lose my temper.
Yeah. And then she has a moment with Storm, and this is actually probably. Well, I think it probably demonstrates the true strength of the team is with Storm and Jean, because Storm understands the sacrifice immediately. She does not try to intervene anyway. She's not happy about it, but she understands it. And then you have these, you have a series of men trying to play that role and get involved and throw weird, emotional cards at Jean's way. Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's Storm and Jean who are like, "Yep, you and I to the end. This sucks." But it goes to show you, like, who is the strongest on this team? Well, it's Jean. And it's been Jean all along. Like,
sure.
Right.
It's fun to reframe it that way. Like, if you're to, again, do an X-Men Grand Design, which has been done, Jean can really be framed as the focus of the entire X-Men story, right?
He even writes Colossus, who we identify with strength, just the pure ability of strength. Colossus wouldn't survive. So they've measured it and said, here's the measuring stick. The strongest person on this team physically does not survive this.
Right.
Strongest person emotionally and mentally and power set has to do it. That's Jean.
Yes, it's great. And I love how, so it's the space shuttle backs out.
It does,
the space station. It's terrible. Just backs out, and of course, everyone
hit the reverse button.
Hit the reverse button, and everyone in that space station is now dead.
Yeah.
From the seal.
You don't see the little bodies floating out like.
Oh my god, it would be crazy. And then Cyclops wakes up, but there's some really great stuff happening where he's freaking out, and Nightcrawler and Colossus are holding him back. And let me go before it's too late. Kurt, I beg you. Like, oh, it's already too late, my friend. I beg you, please.
Yeah,
Like he's breaking.
That's a moment. That's a moment.
It's really good. I love that stuff. And off she goes, holding onto the ship, like using the skills, the pilot skills that she's taken from Dr. Corbeau, and using her telekinetic skills or powers to shield the ship as much as she can and to preserve her own life. Yep. And then just a quick nod to the Fantastic Four, like the sound of radiation in hitting a ship has been done as tack, tack, tack for, at this point, 15 years in Marvel Comics. So that's a great little moment where we know something bad is happening if you've read them before.
I also like that second last panel with the eyeball. Is that meant to, like, around the eye is the feathers of the phoenix? Is that what that's what I took it as?
I think that's pretty cool.
She's almost literally transforming into a bird.
I think that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool too.
Read it whatever way you like. It's partially fire. Hold on, let me just do something quick. Spell properly here. There you go.
Nice.
Hey. Nice to see you. All right. In Kevin's Toying Around stream, there were a lot of Americans there, and when 4 Canadians can post in a row, it's called
we call that a double-double.
It's called the Canuck 4. We've never had 4
double-double.
So, all right, so this is the end of the issue, formally speaking, but I need to make... Okay, so hello, everyone. Chris, this is a really cool pinup.
Yeah,
that is in, and it's from that time period around when this was drawn. So,
yeah. Look at Wolverine with a drink.
I know he's drinking his. Is it a ginger ale, like a Canadian Canada?
It's a Ryan Ginger, right? It's got to be a Ryan Ginger.
I also like he's. I think Hawkins a really good artist. I dig it.
Double is good too. There you go.
Yep. Double is excellent.
Take that, my gift to all of you.
So then we get a whole backup story in these classic X-Men issues that differ than the original because they have these extra features. And in this one, I got to tell you, there is no to be continued on the last page.
Oh,
like there is in the original. It just goes, what is he drinking? It has ice in it. Maybe.
It's got to be Ryan Ginger.
Or is it a can? And it's the... Oh, well, I'm going to put it closer and let you guys be the judge. I think it's a can, and I think it's the fuzz coming out the top. And they just don't show what it is.
I think you might be right.
You can imagine it as whatever you think it is. So the whole backup is like exploring this stuff where they're headed to Earth. The artwork is a little bit more realistic with the space shuttle and and they're holding back Scott more, and Jean is like doing, and there's Chris Claremont for you. All that writing, right?
Yeah, and interesting again the color on her outfit.
Yeah, I don't know why they changed it to
coming off as green. Is that to foreshadow the green suit?
Maybe, but then right away it changes up, and she's starting to suffer from radiation.
Oh yeah, sure.
And she starts dying, and like having an out of body experience, and she
starts
like she's decayed, like done. Yeah, the radiation's killing her right away.
Yeah,
I'm really a big fan of where this goes, and then we can talk as much as we want about the idea of what is the Phoenix Force. What is all that?
Sure.
I make peace with it just by it's something out of this world. It's something
celestial entity.
Yeah, I mean, if we were to make this classical and mythical, it's like an angel devil type character, type entity. Because those old mythology stories don't really have aliens. They would just do other realm. It's a supernatural being.
Yeah,
it wants her soul essentially, right? This thing wants Jean Grey's soul, and if there's a trade, if you give me your soul, Jean Grey, I'm going to grant you a longer life, and I will be one with you, and you'll carry on, and we will heal your damaged body, and you will have my powers, but you will continue. But I need your soul in exchange. So they have a discussion for a few pages as to what's at stake, and eventually Jean agrees as she's in her last moments, and like the Phoenix entity starts taking a clearer form as they come closer, as Jean is dying, the Phoenix starts taking her form more and more.
It's like grotesque.
It is
in a good way. I mean, a good way.
Yeah. John Bolton, the artist, is pulling on the grotesque for sure.
Yeah.
And eventually they take each other's hands and they make a deal. And words about devils are exchanged, by the way. That's in there. And eventually the Phoenix Force takes on her form, takes that decrepit body, puts it in a cocoon.
Yeah.
And then one of the last panels with her, she is like in this this cosmic entity. Like you can see the universe is within her. She is everything. Like she's all powerful, sort of.
Yeah.
And at the end, it's like
pure chaos. Almost like.
Well, the idea of what Phoenix is one of those things that every writer gets to put their own stamp on.
Yeah.
You know, they've said like I am life incarnate, or I am chaos incarnate, or power incarnate. She is an incarnation of something, of whatever the writer wants it to be, and that's where like when we see all these different versions of what Phoenix is from these different stories.
Mm-hmm.
It starts to become nothing very fast. But I just try and like back up a few steps and figure what is the template, what is the archetype that all this is sort of based on, and that's why I come back to like the genie and or the demon or the devil or an angel, in that you can make a deal with these characters that are from another realm, and she makes her deal, and we're gonna see what we're gonna see in the next issue. But this is again like the thing that catapults the X-Men to the next level of storytelling, where like now they go from being a superhero story to now this is something archetypal. Now we've got a ticking time bomb on the team. We're going towards an impending doom. We're moving towards something, and no matter what version of X-Men you ever get, they always try and tap into the Phoenix saga in some way, because there's something archetypal about it. A character that makes a deal with the devil, a character that maybe sins so great and eventually you have to pay the piper. Like you've got to pay the price for what you've done and for the power you've wanted. Scales have to be, evened or leveled, or whatever phrase I'm trying to say here.
Balanced.
Thank you. As Derek said, I'm old. It's okay. I know I'm old, whether you make me feel that way or not. I'm well aware. So
it definitely introduces a whole new, it's as an antagonist or as a device, it levels it up where the stakes now are.
Yes.
It's not just, saving the day or stopping mad scientists level. It's like a whole other, and then everything that comes along with that. So not just being in action, leveling up the action, but, maybe like philosophically also their approach to things, how the characters interact with each other and their feelings towards each other. Anyway, yeah.
And the nature of good and evil, I guess. The nature of good and evil,
like what does that mean?
What it means to be human.
Yeah.
Much like the Fantastic Four in its first 100 issues, they go on these journeys that take them to other realms,
right?
And space and time. And we're going to start going there too with the X-Men, which becomes another trope of X-Men stories, is like them at some point saving the universe, not just
that's
the
what
world,
I mean.
right?
Like it's
raises the stakes.
Yeah, the stakes are they just keep
totally.
Yeah.
Now for fun, because we're just about finished here.
Sure.
What did you like more, X3, X-Men Last Stand, or Dark Phoenix?
Oh wow!
As a Phoenix story. Which version did you enjoy more?
Oh man, let's choose.
Or how about you two in the chat? Which version? Man. Assuming we've all seen all of them, which version did you like more? X-Men The Last Stand, which is X3, or X-Men Dark Phoenix, which was the last movie in the X-Men franchise before the MCU will start to develop? Want to hear the best part?
I'm trying to think that there's no right answer.
Screenwriter is the same.
That's even worse.
That gives me
the worst taste in my mouth.
That gives me my easy answer.
I'm gonna go with. You know what? I'm gonna go with Dark Phoenix.
You're gonna go with Dark Phoenix,
despite everything I've said to you already about Dark
Wait, it's the same writer. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Actually, do me a favor if you want. You can look it up. Maybe I'll look it up as well. In the meantime,
you don't have to finish Dark Phoenix. X3 by default, that's a good approach.
It goes only one of two ways: either you finish Dark Phoenix, or Dark Phoenix finishes you. It's terrible.
There's so much that's terrible about both those movies.
Okay, so here's the reason I'm going to say that I prefer X3.
Sure.
Okay, I can't believe I'm saying this.
Yeah.
The reason I think I prefer X3, Simon Kinberg is the writer.
Okay.
Of that movie, and he also
is there a whole other live stream where you talk about his line of work?
He also wrote the screenplay for X-Men Apocalypse. That's fine. Fantastic Four, like the 2015 version.
Josh Trank was the director of that.
Days of Future Past, he had the screenplay, which
so he's really involved with that iteration.
Okay, I don't see. Oh yeah, he's a screenwriter of 2006's X-Men: The Last Stand. So boom, crazy. So the reason I'm going to say X-Men: The Last Stand I like better is because they didn't know better yet.
Right.
There's no excuse for why you make that movie bad twice. And they're not the same movie, I realize. But when you get two swings at writing a Phoenix story and to make them bad both times, the second time there's no excuse.
That's special talent.
First time there is an excuse, which is it's your first time. So, and also Hugh Jackman is my other reason that I like X3 better.
He's pretty. Yeah.
And I really liked having Shadowcat in a movie. Again, she's one of my favorite X-Men.
Yeah.
Whether you like Elliot Page or not is not that's not what I'm debating. It's just I like having Shadowcat.
I thought they were great
as a character. In I got Shadowcat here.
What do you think of the Juggernaut?
Juggernaut's in it. Yeah, what about it?
Yeah, what do you think of Vinnie Jones? I'm just curious.
Vinnie Jones, hashtag not my Juggernaut. But at the time, it was like seeing a whole bunch of superheroes have a huge superhero fight at the end. Like,
we hadn't seen two teams fight. Superheroes. They really filled it out with a bunch of Morlocks who you're like, I don't know. Who's that guy?
I wish you could call a group of people somewhere a bunch of Morlocks.
A bunch of Morlocks.
Like, I was at the mall today. What a bunch of Morlocks. Seeing Beast being Beastie, seeing Iceman for the first time being Iceman-y, like suiting up.
Oh yeah, those are good.
Angel's there, even though his scenes are kind of terrible. Colossus is there, so
he does a fastball special,
right?
We've already talked.
He does something. So seeing those characters at play, and then add Juggernaut.
James Marsden dies.
James Marsden dies off camera, which is amazing.
Still dies. That's cool.
I'm trying to think who else was there for the villain side. Pyro, Mystique. Or she gets depowered early on.
Callisto's there.
A weird speed version of Callisto. Which
Arclight.
Arclight. Are you looking at the cast?
No, I just remember this because it's ingrained in my brain.
And Jamie Madrox.
Yeah, who shows up briefly. Which actually is pretty funny. He does because he just is there as a foil. Yes, that was actually kind of a funny use of his powers.
So I like seeing the all-out brawl.
Yeah.
And also it was
they literally do a last stand.
It was also one of the first times we ever saw de-aging in a movie. There was the opening scene of Professor X and Magneto meeting Jean Grey, and it was really exciting at the time, like in theaters, and you see, Xavier walking. Yeah. Obviously, the tech doesn't hold up now, but it was really cool at the time. So, for all those reasons, X3 to me is superior to Dark Phoenix.
That's 100%. It's good. It's good.
And if you're ever not sure which movie is worse, just go watch all the Jessica Chastain scenes in Dark Phoenix and then just ask yourself what is happening, why is this what it is?
Aliens is happening.
Do you think they told her she was going to be Emma Frost and then they just gave her a weird script and then recontextualized
because she looks like she's supposed to be Emma Frost?
Come on, Emma Frost is in the X-Men, is in the Dark Phoenix saga. And
I know.
What the shape changing, none of it made any sense anyway. Let's let that go.
I did and I still say this, I just think it was cool. I did like how Cyclops would get down and shoot at the Blackbird. Oh, that was cool.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
That's a great idea.
Like,
That makes that movie better. No?
The Periscope idea.
Yeah, Periscope idea.
It's
right.
in any version of X-Men moving forward, I would put that in.
So terrible.
All right. There we go, Chris.
Thank you, everybody in the chat tonight.
Yeah, what an exciting night for us.
That was a blast.
Our first ever Canuck for double-double.
The double-double.
Yeah, it's excellent. Next week is a Tuesday.
Yeah.
And we will be at X-Men 101.
101.
Very exciting. I'm looking forward to it. Other than that,
I gotta see what happens. I mean, I'm gonna wait, but I could just read ahead, but
you can.
I'm gonna wait.
And I might. Because my coffee is kicked in.
Nice.
But we got lots of comics to make, lots of comics to read. You can find our comics at group7comics.ca, and that's the number 7. This is not working.
Nope.
The number 7.
You're confusing them.
Group7comics.ca. You can find us, or at Group7comics on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can find Chris at Chris Sanagan everywhere. What's that?
We're on TikTok too.
Or TikTok. No new content.
Trying to crack that nut, but we're on TikTok.
And you can find me at Jason Lapidus Art on Instagram. Working on Group of 7 Comics issue 8. Working on Heroic Tales.
Yeah.
Working on the Group of 7 Comics Instagram thing that might be happening in the new year.
Yep.
Giant Size Group of 7 Comics. There's lots of stuff happening. It's so much fun.
There's so many things happening on your plate.
Love all of it. I have a big plate, and that's the way I like it.
Good.
Buffet. Friday, are we doing tea time, you think?
I doubtful. It's Christmas Eve, so I'm busy.
I don't even know.
I know, but I'm explaining that to you.
So then, if I don't speak to you the rest of this week, have a really wonderful holiday with your with your family, your kids, and everyone. Merry Christmas. Enjoy. I hope you get you've been a good boy this year, I hope, and you get all your presents and all that stuff.
Well, I got a pretty sweet number of Daredevil issues I had to go through. So
yes, sir. By the way, I happened to be at Toys R Us this week today, and I know that you have some of the Marvel Legends 3 3/4 retro.
I got Daredevil, Bullseye, and Elektra.
Okay, I couldn't remember if you had Daredevil already.
Oh yeah. Yeah, okay. Danielle got them for me at Target in the States.
Right. I was like, do I? And I said, I think you might have it. So good. When they get a Kingpin, I'll make sure that.
100%.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Hawkeye tomorrow.
Yeah, last episode tomorrow. Can't wait.
Last episode, man. We'll chat tomorrow.
Yeah, excellent.
Okay.
Good hanging with you, man.
You too, as always.
Good night, everybody. Take care, internet. Bye. Talk to you in 5 minutes.